Pampered Adwoa Safo goes childish, selfish. Adwoa Safo doesn't cease to amaze me. Is it true that this woman is a lawyer? What kind of school did she attend? What kind of training did she have from the beginning? And it's not an indictment on her parents. My brother, my sister, Adwoa Safo speaks like a kindergarten baby. Adwoa Safo does not seem to exude common sense. And as to how she has been able to make it this far is so shocking. Now in Ghana, our politicians rise from the bottom of the ladder to the top, not by virtue of common sense, but by virtue of their loudness. Sometimes their prettiness. If you have hips, if you have a beautiful face, you can rise on the political ladder from zero to the zenith. If you are loud, like Abronya and the rest of them with no common sense, you can rise to the top because you are simply loud. We pay people to talk, not to think, in our political space. And I believe that this is why Adwoa Safo has been able to rise all the way to the top. She was born into a very beautiful family. Her father passed on recently, Apostle Kojo Safo. Very powerful man of God. Oh yes. Who was also into the invention and manufacturing of so many different things, including cars. You could call it whatever you want to call it. But he was a man who also showed how much he was interested in building scientifically. And we all saluted him until he said bye-bye to us. He was an entrepreneur. Unfortunately, Adwoa Safo does not exude her father. Neither does she exude any common sense. And my brother, my sister, come along. Come here. Dash. Now watch this, my brethren. Adwoa Safo had 2 children with Kennedy Japan. 2 children, a male and a female. And right after they had the children, it looks like they started to have issues. But they got to the zenith of their issues in the last regime of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, a very bad, irresponsible leader who destroyed this country, borrowed so much money, and I am still shocked why he's not in jail, sleeping with Atayi in the same cells. If Atayi can be jailed for armed robbery, what Nana Addo did to us is worse than armed robbery. If you agree with me, hit the like button. My brother, my sister, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo did not only have ministers of state pilfering and stealing allegedly, he also pampered and encouraged laziness amongst them. One of them, Adwoa Safo. Adwoa Safo was the Minister of Gender, Children, and Social Welfare. In fact, she started it off in the field of procurement, and in her days, she performed so abysmally. As to what relationship she had with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo outside politics, only God can tell. But he kept pushing this lousy woman on and on and on and on until she got into the ministry of children, gender, and welfare. She left us. We all know that story. Went to America, even though she swore an oath that she would put Ghana first. And when the ministry was without a minister, Ghanaians started to cry. Where is the minister? At the time, she was also a sitting MP of Domi Kwabenya. She abandoned both areas and absconded to America. And when she was asked, why won't you come back home? She told everybody on social media and in interviews to journalists that she had her family at heart first. Certainly not Ghana. Her child was not well. Whatever it was, she was in America. She had abandoned Ghana until her child was well. Pressure mounted on Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Letter after letter, call after call, he had to sack Adwoa Safo. After she was sacked, her party went into total oblivion. Her party died a premature death. But before the party died, come here. Before the party died, they had a certain demon called E-Levy. They must pass it. The lousy minister of finance, Ken Oforiatta, told the whole Ghana and convinced his party that unless he was allowed to bring into being the electronic levy, he would have to run to the IMF and the World Bank for a bailout, or else Ghana was going to crash economically. So his party believed that. They tried to convince Ghanaians we were not ready. The minority in parliament then, the NDC, was not convinced. And at that time, there was a hung parliament of a sort, equal. And you know what happened? They had to fly people in all the way from America and other places like Canada, MPs, to come and vote in parliament for the dirty demonic E-Levy. Canada, Japan had gone for a surgery, not a stomach surgery, hand surgery, brain surgery. They opened his brain into two like a newspaper. And he was lying on the surgeon's table. In fact, when the party realized that he had just had a fresh surgery, they asked him to rest. But because of the demonic E-Levy that Ken Oforiatta wanted to unleash on us innocent Ghanaians, they called him back and asked him to come and vote for the E-Levy. And you know what they did? They chartered a private jet to bring 3 people from abroad. Did they use the taxpayers' money? Canada, Japan was part of them. Adwoa Safo was in America then, chilling on social media, celebrating birthdays on social media. And some other guy in Canada. Ken decided that he didn't want to come by a private jet. He didn't want any noise around his arrival because everybody knew that he had been sick and he had gone for a surgery. Long story cut short, they arrived in Ghana and Adwoa Safo refused to go to the Parliament House and vote. She was at home, according to Canada, Japan. Now, Akosua Frema, who at the time was the chief of staff, had to go all the way to Adwoa Safo's house, begging Adwoa Safo to please come and vote. This is a story we have told over and over. Canada, Japan reminds us that Frema stood in front of this woman's gate for more than 30 minutes before she was allowed in. And when she came inside, she was asked to sit in Adwoa Safo's hall for another 35 minutes. In all, 1 hour, 5 minutes of waiting before the queen, the pampered queen, the childish queen, came out of the house. And there was a certain military convoy, better still, police convoy, to pave the way for them to go all the way to the Parliament House. My brother, my sister, and Canada, Japan wasn't happy about it. He had told the president over and over that Adwoa Safo was misbehaving. She was not working. She had abandoned her ministry and abandoned her constituency. And he didn't see why Nana Addo was still pampering this woman. And that hurt Adwoa Safo so much. She kept it in her head that she would deal with her baby father of 2. Come here. According to Canada, Japan, so much money was paid into the account of Adwoa Safo, her Fidelity Bank account. It was almost like a bribe for her to do the so-called E-Levy thing. Then she started her demands. After the voting and everything, we all remember that minister who was chauffeured all the way in an ambulance because he was dying, with a gas mask all over his head, for him to come and vote. Whilst the parliamentarians were in there still debating, he was in the ambulance outside just waiting for the time. Oh, come and vote. Then they would sneak him in. He would vote and get back into. That was how desperate they were to pass the E-Levy. My brother, my sister, when Adwoa Safo finished and she was going back to America, according to Canada, Japan, she demanded that she wanted to go back in a private jet. This pampered woman. So they had to put her in the private jet. After all the bribe, after all the pampering, after the AWOL, when she ran away, leaving the ministry and her constituency, she sat in a private jet, cooled herself like the queen of whichever town or village, and flew back to America. The E-Levy came into being. Within weeks, it was said that it had failed. And Canada Japan had labored in vain. They had opened his brains and read it like a newspaper. Closed it quickly after warning him, if you leave the hospital and go to Ghana, don't come back to this hospital. Sign. He signed because his party needed the E-Levy. Yet, his own baby mother was not ready to sacrifice a bit. Now it's time for yet another primaries. Canada Japan is standing alongside a man called Baumia, another man who contributed in destroying this country's economy. We all remember Baumia telling us how they had the men. Oh, what a team. Alan Tremantin, Ejakon, Boache Ejakon, mentioned them. And that the NDC could not even remember anything like the economic team. They failed and flopped the nation's economy. Today, Baumia wants us to forget about all this and vote him back as president. You know what happened? Adwoa Safo, who has lost her constituency because Canada Japan refused to support her for yet another time, is so bitter. And you can feel the bitterness in this bitter Delilah. Watch it.
Those who sing in Mema. Kugudu. Wo yi candidate. Wo bia na no anu odi ma akem. Kugudu. Emma ya na tuaba. Kugudu. Wo betu aba ama obia na no a na wo di imma akem. Kugudu. Mema samba I want to what di matter. Maybe some question. Mema samba ya wagana ha. Want to say honorable Kennedy Japan or di matter. Or say me muadie. Magia bicycle di. And I go for the system so. And I me useless. And I make a pension when you want to meet me. Okaye ewo krom ha. Kugudu. And the videos are there. It's one tie. Na mo koye ni bisibasa. And this is what kind of movie na ba. Na the records na wodi atam including me. Ah oni ma wo bienu. Na wo oni won wo ye de. Imagine odo be yo. Me see amra adu na adu ama wan. Dr. Mahmoud Baonia. Me come draw. Na me can say me nento yet. Me a politician. Honorable Kennedy Japan or your politician. Kukudu. Minister delegates bebre wa ha. Who kunu a polling station executive. And our yere enso your polling station executive. Mesrao obi ankura na dwen. Obi ankura na dwen wa politics mu. Obi ankura na dwen. Iti Honorable Ken kura na dwen. Okura ni ambition. Mesu mi kura ma dwen. Mesu mi ye man manyosem. Na manyosem na obi a eye no. Obi akọ baby ane ho be dey. Be say dey, obi akọ baby ane ho be dey. Dr. Boachika so kan sembi. Maintain Honorable Kennedy Japan. Menene wo mba porepore ahofefuo mienu. Ba mu abaako e na oba abaako. It maintain Honorable Kennedy Japan. But your family and friends and I hear who go do? Messi ya dia is. If you na ya bano, who go do? Who go do? Patro muntie mi o. Opposition na ya be fie no. E wo se ye be sua nyansa o. Ya ko tena be mu ye family and I friends. Any ye ne. Iti amanyo semu a ye wo party level no. Me Adwoa Safo, me ti me nya dey. Esa nse ye kwa be mu ko ye bi, e bo ye ya na aka mo ye. Na me mamu example be. Me study contested to be MP in the year 2007. Atene we di amanyo semunu a wo kuoi mu abesi nne. Ma serve as member of parliament for 12 years. My deputy majority leader. My minister for procurement. My minister for gender. It may be some say, men somewhere. And Honorable Kennedy Japan so I am dear, Meboa. Men can say, or no nebefa. Nemom ye assume say, Wafa. Now I got now Jubilee House. Na mimi CV edda ho. Ya ka CV ya so wo pay djuma. Na mo hwe djuma amaye. Ene somo amasom oman yi ene mama nyoku. Na se dru ho. Na obetimi ahwemanimu aka se oba menene wo mamienu. Ma appointed no as minister for BB. Ejabeto Ghana. Yes. Who go do? And the Kennedy Japan Mimi.
Absolutely balderdash. No common sense. So childish. Where did this woman get a training from? Which schools did she attend? Who taught her? To those of you who don't understand Chi, she was talking about the fact that, she has 2 children with what? Kennedy Japan. A male and a female. Very handsome. And she has her own ambitions as a politician. Same way, her baby father, Kennedy Japan, has his own ambitions. Now, should Kennedy Japan become president and she takes her CV to the man that she wants an appointment, would Kennedy Japan ever give it to her? Never. She's personalized everything. And Baumia and the rest sat down watching this dunderhead talking. Because of people like this, I don't even have the urge to study law. It is sad. And this one too became a gender minister. So bitter, so backward, so nonsensical. It is so saddening. This one became minister of procurement, minister of gender, member of parliament for 12 years, she claims. How did she become minister? How did this one too become a parliamentarian? Dummy people, why? You have no eyes, you have no thumbs, you can't see who is on the ballot box. Such a joker. Look how this woman has personalized things. She's talking like a jilted woman. And because she's so backward in her thinking, she doesn't even realize the danger she's putting her children in. I have 2 children with this man. Handsome and beautiful. You know, yes, we have 2 children. But even me, who has children with the man, he will not look at me and give me any position. What is the crime of Kennedy Japan? What is his crime? What has Kennedy Japan done? And it's all over in the news. He was at UTV and he spoke from his heart exactly what happened. It's in the headlines all over the place. Kennedy Japan spoke from his heart. He said, this woman here is selfish. 2, she's lazy. Thirdly, she's so rude. 4thly, she doesn't have Ghana at heart. Yes, I have children with her, but even when I try to intervene on behalf of Ghana, no, she was being selfish. She was demanding that they put her on a private jet. A private jet for her to fly back to America. At a time the economy had crashed. Ghana had no money. We were now running after the E-Levy had failed to go all the way for a bailout of $3 billion American dollars. This woman here was demanding that they put her on a private jet. And today she has the mouth, the effrontery to come and stand there and talk gibberish. That is why Baumia would never be president of this country. If you allow nitwits like this to come and personalize your whole campaign, how are you ever going to be president? I am not supporting Kennedy Japan. I don't like him. I disowned him on this show because he's so tribalistic. He went about talking tribal all the way in Ibuakwa, Achim Ibuakwa. And when I saw the tapes, I was mad at him. And I withdrew all kinds of... I don't care if Ghanaians want to vote him as president. I will not support him until he apologizes. But in this case, my brother, if Kennedy can look at his baby mother of 2 and say, hey, the president is pampering you too much. I personally paid money into your Fidelity account, a bribe for you to simmer down. Now you want a private jet to fly you to America. Number 2, you are also looking to becoming the minority leader deputy. What kind of ego is this? And you're not even smart. If you are counting 1 million lawyers in Ghana who are smart, Adwoa Safo won't even come 2 millionth. It's sad. And Baumia has given this unpatriotic woman the opportunity to stand because of pluralism. Pluralism. Oh, that is Ken's baby mother. So when she speaks against Ken, it's almost like a blackmail is going to work. What idiocy. And look at her. She's even making the man more popular. Because all the things she talked about, If I were Kennedy, I would still stand on them and say, yes, I still stand on them because you are not patriotic. Mention one thing that you have been right on. Very selfish, arrogant, childish, non-commonsensical. Everything you can box up into one. And the president was still pampering this one. Come here. Please, we have to be careful the kind of people we vote into power. How did this one too become a minister of state? With what common sense? This was the same woman who was being vetted. And they asked her, as a minister of children, gender, and social welfare, we have a notorious witch camp in Wale Gambaga there. When you become minister, what are you going to do about this? Innocent women are kept there, locked up. Some are even killed. They are labeled witches. And there's no scientific proof. Yes, we are Africans, but you can't force your opinions and views on us and beliefs. You know what she said? She said she will rebrand the witch camp. A rebranded toilet is still shitum. Show me one toilet that is not shitum. What do you do in a toilet? When you rebrand it, it becomes what? A kitchen? A rebranded toilet, does it become a kitchen? A rebranded toilet is still a toilet. That's what she said. And those guys, Harun Ediso and the rest who vetted her, passed her because they said she was breastfeeding and she was in a hurry to go home and breastfeed her baby. Why did she bring the baby to the vetting place? You don't take the country serious. You are jokers. You vote these urchins into power. And when they come into power, they exude selfishness and childishness. It's annoying. If I had my own way, I would do something to Adwoa Safo. Remove her from politics forever. This one, who is she going to be able to convince to vote for anybody when she cannot even convince herself what she wants? I'm so angry. What is the crime of Kennedy Japan? He simply said, why should you demand a private jet? Even me, whose brain was split into two, I sat in a commercial flight and came to Ghana. You are well. You have not done any surgery. You want a private jet. What is wrong with you? Amongst all the people who were flown in to come and vote for the E-Levy, you were the only people who had money paid into your Fidelity account. She later came to deny it. But we all know that well, it's a joke. My brother, my sister, this is the same woman. After they went into opposition, she came back to the same Domi Kwabenya that she had abandoned. And she was asking them to vote for her again. She was telling them, if you guys knew what I was going through, such nonsense. Then she went around sharing calipo and yogurt, sharing it to the people because Ghanaians only look at their stomach. One yogurt is enough for you to vote for such an urchin. Somebody who cannot do anything. She's asking the people in that tape, Mansumu, haven't I served you? You served who? Your own egos, your own whims and caprices. The way I am angry, in fact, if I keep talking, I'm going to talk for the next 10 hours and bore everybody. But my brother, we have a serious country. Bawumia is a joker. Hey, the wounds Bawumia inflicted on us are still too fresh for us to forget that this joker, this fraud, came into our country, sneaked and smuggled into a certain party that has no respect for any other people but Akans. The NPP. Buzia Dankwa. They smuggled in Dombo, who should have been at the helm of affairs from the beginning. He failed he became a mate. And in that tape, when you play it further, you hear Adwoa Safo talking about the fact that, yes, if you are a mate, you are a mate. A mate cannot push out the driver. Look at this non-commonsensicalness. Where is the sense in this, brethren? So if I'm sitting in a car and I am the mate and the driver is driving me towards a cliff, because I am a zombie with no brains, I should sit quietly and let this idiot drive me off the cliff and crash me and kill me. Can I do that? No. From when I was a little child, coming all the way from Tamale to Tiamade Secondary School, there was no day I slept in a bus. My eyes were on the driver. Anytime I saw the driver go like that, I said, sir, and wake him up. I will find a way of waking up the driver. And our mate fell asleep on the job because he was a zombie. He watched the driver crash the whole car. Now he comes back to tell us, oh, put me back. No, we can't put Bawumia back. He doesn't deserve it. He's a joker. He's a fraud. Kennedy is a tribal bigot. He doesn't deserve to be picked up for the prime minister, let alone even become president. And I don't care what whoever says. I'm speaking for Ghana. When it comes to your spirituality, you can deal with that. But Kennedy does not deserve a tribal bigot like that. Listen to what he said at Obuakwa. And some of his fans come out and say, oh, but Bawumia was doing it. Do you have common sense when you speak like that? We thought he was a different person. That was why we threw Bawumia under the bus and said that, you know what, Bawumia is not fit. Let's go for Kennedy and see what he can do for that party that we don't even want to hear about. And then he also comes and is behaving like Bawumia. Tribal bigotry. We are the kings. Some other people, they are the slaves. So, say, no sir. I watched the tape and I said, so he was a chameleon all this while till he apologizes, my brother, to the good people of Ghana. Not me. Who am I? I'm only one man inside Ghana. For Adwoa Safo, get out of here. Go sit your backside somewhere. You are a disgrace to the politics of this nation. Can't you see? Or maybe you have some mental neurosis. If you have it, let's take mental health seriously. She has become so bitter. She has become chloroquine. Come here. It's the Blakk pot, aka Kukushona.